Kولman won the 1998 Mr. Olympia and started his reign as the most dominant Mr. Olympia winner and arguably the greatest of all time. These pictures are taken from muscletime.com. Some of them with the channel's logo have been cropped using Photoshop. Rony was placed 9th at the 1997 Mr. Olympia to become the winner of the 1998 Mr. Olympia, defeating Flex Wheeler, who was placed 2nd, Nasser Sombati, who was placed 3rd, Kevin Levroni, who was placed 4th, and Sean Ray, who was placed 5th. 1998 Mr. Olympia Rony Kولman has arguably been considered as the best Rony ever, along with his 1999 package. Some people, however, argue that his 2003 Mr. Olympia physique was even better. I've made tons of videos comparing Rony's physiques to each other from different Olympia contests. Check out the annotations in the end of the video. In fact, Rony didn't have a real challenge that year, as he was easily better than Flex when it comes to the sheer size and the conditioning he had that year. Rony, however, had gyno around his left nipple, which clearly shows in this shot. Flex, on the other hand, tried to add size to his physique in order to be able to compete against the likes of Rony, but I still think his 1993 Mr. Olympia physique was the best. Both Rony and Flex had incredible biceps. The peak was insane. Both have the necessary width in the chest and the shoulders areas, which adds more to this pose. The lat sweep looks awesome. The midsection looks tight and highly conditioned. Rony's wheels are on another level. He is known for having among the greatest wheels in bodybuilding history, and Flex, on the other hand, was always criticized for lacking the size in his thighs. But his wheels were still highly conditioned and separated with visible striations in his quads. We can see the gyno in Rony's chest here too. Aaron Baker is in the back, one of the most underrated bodybuilders from the 90s. The front lat spread shows Rony's superiority. He is known for having among the greatest lats in bodybuilding history, along with Dorian and Big Ramy. But in my opinion, I still think Dorian had the greatest in his prime. The width and the thickness of Rony's lats overshadow Flex, who wasn't known for hitting an impressive front lat spread pose. Rony's sheer size, muscles maturity, and overall conditioning settled the contest from the early poses and determined the winner. The side chest was another pose which clearly showed Rony's superiority. The sheer size and the incredible conditioning he had in almost all his muscular groups were insane. His chest was pumped, thick, and striated. His shoulders were mind-blowing. His arms were huge and ripped with that incredible peak in the biceps. The midsection was tight and his wheels were huge and conditioned. Another side chest pose showing the insane level of conditioning and sheer size Rony had that night. His pumped and striated chest was on another level in comparison to that of Flex, which looked rather flattened. Rony also dominates when it comes to the size of his shoulders, arms, forearms, and conditioned wheels. Flex hamstrings look impressive in this pose, and we can see striations in his glutes. Unfortunately though, his glutes do not look impressive from the back. The side triceps might be one of Rony's least impressive poses, as he didn't used to hit this pose properly. His triceps were not that impressive either, and considered among the least impressive muscular departments in comparison to his biceps, for example. I personally prefer Flex side triceps pose, and I think his triceps overall was better than that of Rony. Flex was known for having an incredibly symmetrical back, with the insane lines he used to show in his back double biceps pose. His traps were huge and ripped, his rear shoulders looked insane and perfectly connected with his lats, his rounded shoulders and the pump in his biceps were mind-blowing. The same can't be said, however, about his glutes, hamstrings, and overall wheels from the back poses. Rony's back, on the other hand, was as ripped, but wider and more huge. The pump in his biceps was insane, and his lower section was way better than that of Flex, with his better developed lower back, incredibly huge and striated glutes, insane hamstrings, and overall wheels. Another back double biceps shot shows the sheer size and conditioning Rony had over Flex that night. Flex's back in this shot looks rather flattened compared to Rony's back, which is packed with ripped muscles. His incredible lower back, glutes, and hamstrings easily gave him the winning in the back poses. The lat spread was easily won by Rony. He was known for having among the greatest lats in bodybuilding history, along with Dorian Yates. Rony used to hit this pose perfectly, making use of his lats width and thickness in comparison to Flex, who didn't used to hit an impressive lat spread pose. Rony's Christmas tree in his lower back shows in this shot in comparison to Flex's flattened lower back. Rony's huge and striated glutes and incredible hamstrings were on another level as well. The abs and thighs shows the insane genetics Flex had in his abs. He used to have among the greatest abs in the 90s. His waist was small and narrow, and his ripped six-pack showed perfectly. Although his thighs were highly conditioned and striated, but he lacked the size necessary to compete against someone like Rony, who had incredibly huge and developed wheels. Rony's midsection, however, was always among his least impressive muscular departments, in my opinion, and his abs were not as aesthetic as those of Flex. Now, I like the way both Rony and Flex used to hit the most muscular pose. Rony was known for hitting an incredible pose, making use of his nearly perfect upper physique, including his traps, shoulders, insane chest, and mind-blowing arms. And Flex also had an impressive most muscular pose, making use of his rounded shoulders and arms. But I would still give it to Rony. His muscles' sheer size and maturity were beyond anything Flex showed that night. Another most muscular pose shows Rony's superiority. His chest and wheels are almost double the size of those of Flex. The amazing about it is that Rony managed to combine sheer size with definition and insane conditioning. The striations in his chest are visible. Flex also had impressive crab most muscular pose. His chest wasn't as wide as that of Rony, yet his muscular departments were highly conditioned and striated. The striations in his quads are visible, but unfortunately his wheels lacked the size to match those of Rony. Another most muscular pose in black and white this time. Both had insane level of conditioning in almost all muscular areas, but Rony's sheer size was on another level. Flex genetics didn't allow him to obtain that size of Rony, and I still think his smaller yet more aesthetic 1993 physique was the best. But placing second to Rony in 1998 and 1999 was still a great achievement for the Sultan of Symmetry. Rony won his first Olympia title fair and square. This was the beginning of the reign of the most dominant and arguably the greatest Mr. Olympia in bodybuilding history. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Thanks for watching, and have a nice one.